All right, guys, welcome back to another episode on my channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is XP to Level Up, where I give you the experience that you need to get to your next level in life. Now, today we're going to be talking about my opinion on the employee mindset versus the entrepreneur mindset. Okay. Now, this is actually something that just recently kind of struck home with me because, we are what we are taught to believe, right? We are what we are, raised around, the ideologies and, ideas and mindsets and expectations that you have coming up in the world. That's kind of going to be what your outlook on the world is, and that's what's going to be your limitations that you feel like you have in life, is based on what you see around you and what's expected of you from other people. So for me, my family is not the most successful family in the world. We're all hard workers. We all, have great work ethics to some degree. We're all obviously great people. But, definitely everyone that I know in my family has an employee mindset. They've been working a job for somebody else their whole lives, and they're going to retire, and that's that. But for me, guys, I just feel like I've recently just been kind of craving a freedom in life that I feel like you really can't have being an employee for someone. I think that when you work for a schedule, but a schedule doesn't work for you, I feel like that just limits you from a lot of other opportunities and things that you might want to do with your time. Having that looking forward to the weekend mindset every single week, not having really any kind of flexibility with things, just based on what your boss allows you to have. That just kind of makes me feel a lot more limited than I want to feel. And I feel like I deserve more than that in life. I want to be able to have my own, business of some sort because, well, for one reason, guys, it's really a lot, especially with, today's technology. It's really a lot easier to create your own business than you think, right? All you need is to drop some money on like a LLC and have a plan and set it in motion, right? And work hard, and they say that as an entrepreneur, you work like 80 hours a week, so you don't have to work 40. And I get that, but I feel like in the end, it's worth it because you're going to be spending less time in terms of your entire lifespan. You're going to be spending less time working those 80 hours a week than you're going to be spending working 40 hours a week as an employee, right? Because as an entrepreneur, your financial income is practically unlimited, right? It's just based on the work you want to put in and the skills that you acquire and stuff like that. So I feel like for me, it's just kind of, I've always been, for the longest, I've been in the mindset of like, oh, okay, like I just want to become really good at this job. I want to make my employers proud. And, and that's good, right? There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not sitting here trying to, bash the employee mindset and say that it's a bad way to think. There's nothing wrong with that. If you feel like that's the way for you to go, if you feel like that's the route that makes you content in life, then go for it, right? Because, life is all about contentment, right? Because if you don't have contentment, you don't have happiness. But for me, I'm just not content with the whole 9 to 5, let's go work for somebody else and make them rich. I'm trying to get into a zone and a place in my life where I'm doing everything for me, right? I'm not busting my ass for anybody else but me. And so that's kind of where I'm at. I think that, I know it's going to take a lot of work. I know it's going to take a lot of dedication. I know it's going to take probably some pitfalls and then getting back up and then pitfalling and getting back up. I know that really successful entrepreneurs say that it's not about the successes that you have, but it's about how you bounce back from your failures in life, right? And I'm sure that I'm going to run into certain failures with things. I'm sure things aren't going to be as smooth as I think that they are, but I have been putting things in motion like this YouTube channel, and I've been doing other things in my personal life to where I'm going to try my best to get to a point of the freedom of having my own brand, my own ideas, and my own business and my own income that's entirely dependent on me and nobody else. But again, if that's not for you, that's totally fine. I get that. Some people just want to take the route that is most convenient for them, and I have no problem with that because that's literally how I was up until this point. I totally get that, guys. But I truly do believe that in America, where there is obviously abundant capitalism, I feel like if there's anyone in the world that should be trying their best to make their time and money work for them instead of the other way around, it's Americans, right? I mean, as Americans, we have so much at our disposal to become great in something, to stand out in something, to become recognized in something, to where, Leon's really, really good at this. We're going to go for him for this, not to like the company that he works for or something. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how I feel about that, guys. So I hope I maybe opened your guys' mind to what being an entrepreneur looks like. But again, being an entrepreneur, you can't just expect to go from being an employee to an entrepreneur overnight. It takes a lot of skills that I'm still working on to become, disciplined and productive enough to be an entrepreneur, right? Because a lot of people are so used to that clock-in mindset of like, okay, this is the time that I'm going to work, right? Is when I go to clock in at a job. But what if there was no clock in and it's entirely dependent on your own determination and motivation? Do you think you'd still be as productive as you are when you're on the clock at work? Maybe not for some of you, or maybe so for some of you, right? For me, I'm getting to the point where I'm driven enough and disciplined enough, and I've done enough things that I don't want to do sometimes, that I feel like it's going to be more possible for me to do than the average employee, because I've spent enough time on myself and I've built that mental willpower up enough that I feel like will get me through long hours of the day of working on my own thing, on my own purpose in life. But again, that's not something that everybody can just hop into overnight. Some people have to start from square one and learn how to build healthier habits, take better care of themselves, be more disciplined, do things that they don't want to do sometimes, and form a stronger, mindset, stronger mental health, to where they're able to focus on something undistracted for so long. Because for me too, guys, and I'm sure that some of you can relate, I have ADHD, right? Really bad. I've had ADHD my whole life, and I'm about to go into a whole nother topic here, but when I was younger, I took meds. A lot of meds, high milligrams, different kinds of medicines, especially when I was like a young kid, like coming up in like middle school and stuff. My hyperactivity and distraction levels were like so intense that they put me on a lot of medications to sedate me to where I could like sit and focus for more than like 10 minutes. And this was a reason why I never really did good in school, guys. I never really did good in school. I did kind of good in like elementary school, but then middle school, high school, I just sucked because I was distracted all the time. I could never get any homework done. I could never focus on anything. The only things that I could ever focus on and get done were things that I actually enjoyed learning about and doing. And so knowing that from my past, I know it's going to be even more difficult for me than the average person to sit and focus on something, especially if I'm not exactly so interested on what I'm learning at the time. But luckily, overall, being an entrepreneur and doing and pursuing something in life that you actually love to do and enjoy, it's going to make it a lot easier for me to stay focused because I'm actually enjoying what I'm doing, right? Compared to just sitting and looking at a textbook, a history book for 4 hours and just being bored out of my mind and looking for any way out. At least with this, pursuing something in fitness, and life coaching in general, and stuff like that, I feel like it's going to be a lot easier for me to stay focused and driven and determined because I'm actually enjoying learning what I'm learning about. So maybe you guys can relate to that. But on a side note too, guys, again, I was so sedated as a young kid, like to the point where I literally at times would like lose my personality from how sedated I was. I was just kind of like zombified. They would put me on such high, milligrams of medications that I would literally sometimes, like, I remember my mom would pick me up from school and I would just be silent in the car. She would ask me, hey honey, like, how was school, blah, blah, blah. And I'd just be sitting there just like looking in front of me, like looking at the street in front of me. I wasn't even like paying attention. Like I was just so sedated. It was hard for me to even have a conversation or to express any kind of emotion. And so that led to me, really wanting to find an alternative method to overcome my ADHD and anxiety through natural ways, through through my own coping skills. And since I was like about, I think in my early 20s or late teens, I just stopped taking medication because I wanted to find another way to do it. I wanted to force myself to find a way to cope with my ADHD because I didn't want to be sedated forever. I didn't want to rely on this like little box of pills to get me through my life. I didn't want to rely on that. I didn't want to give that much power away to a substance to where it completely just controls my life, and if I don't take it, I'm not going to be productive that day. That's not the kind of life that I wanted to live, and so I haven't taken meds now for I think about like 5 years or so. And I'm doing pretty well, I'd say. I obviously still have a lot of ways to go. There are still a lot of things that I want to accomplish. But the me now compared to the younger me is like a night and day, guys. It's night and day. Like the younger me wouldn't even be able to sit here and focus and talk to you in complete sentences and actually finish a video without getting distracted or like looking at my phone or like doing some, fidgeting or whatever, because that's how just like hyperactive I was. And so yeah, guys, I'll wrap up the video there, but hopefully this kind of opened your guys' eyes a little bit to what you might think is best for you, whether it's an employee mindset or an entrepreneurial mindset. But either way, I hope you gained something from this. If you did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know your opinions on this as well. And I will see you guys in the next episode.